prices, right now is turning into a great time for first-time home buyers to jump into the housing market.
Yeah, this even as interest rates rise and housing markets cools off. Joining us now to give us more insight on this is a real estate expert, Bonnie Heatzig, with the Douglas Element in Boca Raton. Good morning, Bonnie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
Well, you know, there are signs the housing market is cooling off. That's welcome news. It's good for first-time home buyers. Tell us more.
Well, I mean, we are seeing a shift from that heavily weighted sellers market to be more balanced. And that is great news for buyers because we're seeing more inventory come on the market. So finally, they're seeing some choices.
So what have you seen when people buy too fast?
Right. Now, when buyers race to win a bid, there can be perils. And we saw this in 2021 when buyers would buy a home that they ordinarily would never buy, but there was so little inventory, they were dying to get into a neighborhood, and that can bring buyers remorse. We also saw buyers waiving important contract contingencies, like a home inspection or a financing contingency. And they did this to turbocharge their offer to get accepted, and it worked for sure. But in a more normalized market, we don't want to see buyers take those kinds of risks.
What would you say on the opposite end of that? Somebody who's a first-time buyer, they're ready to make that sort of investment, but they're seeing the market cooling off, so they're like, maybe I'll wait a little bit longer. Maybe it'll keep getting better. I mean, what is your advice there?
Well, to first-time home buyers, I would say don't try to time the market. Focus on when you feel like you're ready. So what I mean by that is, are you financially stable? Is your job secure? Do you have an intention to remain in the area for the foreseeable future? And finally, are you ready to take on the home ownership responsibilities like maintenance? So if all of those stars align, then I say dive in, because owning Florida's real estate for your home, I think I've seen over 20 years, that is a fantastic investment long term.
Would you say that there's any dangers in paying more for a home, especially if you're a first-time home buyer?
Well, I think, you know, you want to be careful. And again, you want to be pre-approved so you know how much you can spend. I would also say consult with the local realtor who is an expert in your area. They can help guide you so that you don't end up in that situation where you overspend.
Let's talk specifically about South Florida. You're based in Boca Raton. You know, it's a little bit more insulated here than other parts of the country where there are some major drops in home prices. So what are we seeing here in South Florida?
Well, South Florida is a destination, right? We see an influx of buyers coming from all over the country and even internationally. So that does insulate us a little bit from the downturns in the market. But let there be no mistake, we're not immune. But we definitely have this insulated, insulation, because there is this steady and strong demand. So the downturns in the market tend to hit us less, and it takes a little bit longer to penetrate our market.
So we want to squeeze in one last question. With the housing market potentially slowing down, is that good or bad for sellers?
Well, that's a good question. What I would say is there is a lot of buzz right now about the housing market slowing down. Let's put that in perspective, because that's based on data year over year looking at 2021, which was an unprecedented market for sellers, very robust. So we're still in a seller's market. The pendulum is starting to shift, but it hasn't completely shifted all the way to a buyer's market. So for sellers out there that are thinking about listing their home, I would say our inventory is less than it was pre-pandemic, and our prices are notably higher than they were pre-pandemic. So sellers, you're still in a good position. Consult with a realtor who specializes in your area, but I think we're still in good shape.
Oh, that is good news. A lot of welcome news for people in South Florida, certainly. Bonnie, thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
Thank you both.
All right, time right now is 9:42.